unquestionably pound for pound #1. Just seems to be getting better and better, and I don't think I've ever seen a fighter as good as Canelo Alvarez up close.
But Canelo Alvarez has proven for the last decade that he's willing to take on all comers and has defeated all comers.
Canelo Alvarez is obsessed with the sport of boxing. He's obsessed with winning. He's obsessed with legacy, creating history.
Fight fans, welcome back to The Fight Spot. To keep up to date with the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. Meet Santos Saul Alvarez Barragan, or better known by the whole world, Canelo Alvarez. This fighter has run through opponents left and right and has ruled the boxing world for many years. He has produced broken jaws, shattered dreams, and impressive knockouts on his way to boxing glory and fame. And there is going to be a special place in the Hall of Fame for him when it is all said and done. But without further ado, let's jump right into some of the most brutal fights and knockouts that the red-haired Mexican has produced over the course of his career. To start it off, we need to go back to the beginning. Canelo started boxing when he was 13 years old after watching his older brother Rigoberto go to work, and he himself realized that he wanted the smoke. By the time he was 15 years old, he had already amassed an amateur record of 44-2, and he had become the junior Mexican national boxing champion. Then he realized that he needed to take his talents to a new level and go pro. So on October 29, 2005, he delivered his first pro fight, his first pro win, and his first pro stoppage with pummeling right hands to his opponent's face. From there, he went on a tear, ultimately going undefeated in his first 15 pro bouts, but with one draw, and then he got his chance at boxing gold and his very first professional boxing belt.
Was this legend coming out of Mexico, everybody talking about him, a Mexican with red hair and who is beating everybody, and you know, it was like I was being teased, like, hey, like, show me the guy, show me the guy. Then when I saw him fight, it was very apparent that he had that talent, which is a God-given talent.
The Jalisco welterweight belt against Ricardo Cano. He pieced him up and tore him to shreds, with moments like this one where he was able to unleash a fury of punches to his opponent, leaving him begging for mercy on the ropes. Although he would not knock Ricardo Cano out, this fight showed that Canelo was for real as he got the unanimous decision win, and that he was coming for everyone else in the boxing world. In April of the next year, Canelo would have another shot at a new belt, but this time it was the WBA Feded Centro welterweight title, up against Gabriel Martinez, and once again he pierced his opponent with every strike, unloading with his refined punches and powerful strength, and his unique ability to get his opponent in a corner and keep him there. He was also able to eat any of the punches that his opponent threw, and throw them back, like this mean left hand that left his opponent wobbling. Eventually, his opponent had no choice but to give up, as he retired before the fight could end, and Canelo had added yet another title to his growing list. The Canelo hype was growing, and he was getting noticed in places other than just Mexico. So in 2008, the young stud was brought up to the US for the first time to try his skill out in a more unfamiliar place. But that did not faze the red-headed monster, as he was able to use his brutal and fast combo punches to pick apart his opponent, Larry Mosley. He got the decision victory and went on to wreck his next 10 opponents before getting a chance at the vacant WBC silver light middleweight belt. And he was prepared, using his quick reflexes and his powerful punches to first knock down his opponent very early on with a smooth and ferocious uppercut. But finally, smelling the blood like a shark in water, Canelo was able to put a stop to the fight in the last round when he got his opponent up against the ropes and started absolutely pounding him. While he won the belt, it was like finishing in second place, so of course the feisty redhead wanted more. So, he went on another journey, but this time for the real light middleweight belt. And he finally got that chance, getting to fight Matthew Hatton in the Honda Center in Anaheim, California, to go out and grab one of his life's goals. And well, you could say that he was pretty dominant. From the get-go, Canelo was like a ferocious dog, getting to him in the first round with some powerful power punches against the ropes. He was setting up his opponent for a beating, like right here when he was able to set up a mean right hand to the body with a couple of calm, light left hands, which then finally led in a mean left hook, which rattled Hatton hard. He was embarrassing Hatton, and he was making him hurt. Hatton was trying to slow the fight down by wrapping himself around Canelo, but all that ended in a sneaky punch that sent Hatton to the canvas. With all of the beatings that Hatton took, there was no choice but to give Canelo the victory.
And then he tells me he wants to go and fight Shane Mosley. I said, Shane Mosley, don't you think you maybe want to wait a few years? Because Mosley is still very good. He's a Hall of Famer, multiple division world champion.
Then he was given a test against the tough veteran Shane Mosley. Mosley was aging, but he had defeated some of the best, and at one point had a record of 38-0. Shane Mosley was overconfident and expecting a win and wanted the belt. But Canelo once again proved that he was a tough nut to crack, using his elusive head movements and punches to get to Mosley early on, and to put some damage on the most experienced but older boxer. He showed off his speed and stamina, hitting him with a devastating right hand that was soon followed by a left hand that rattled the old star. Canelo ended the fight with his hand raised, and with his team holding up all of his belts, there was another boxer on the top of the totem pole that he had his eyes on: Floyd "Money" Mayweather.
We want Floyd Mayweather. And I said, come on, this is not gonna happen. Floyd Mayweather is the pound for pound best fighter in the world. You've got to trust me here. Just wait a little longer. No, we want Floyd Mayweather.
The undefeated Canelo was going up against arguably the best pound-for-pound fighter ever, 45-0 Money Mayweather, who had also handled Shane Mosley a couple years before. And Floyd Mayweather had a couple goals: to win and to make as much money while doing it. So when it came time for the weigh-in, he was ready to put on a show. When the two came face to face, the loud and rambunctious Mayweather was jawing away, but Canelo stood strong, with a stone face and with a clear goal in mind: beat the cocky boxer. The fight went how many fans expected it to, with the two boxers both showing off their elite speed and punching ability. Canelo was able to show off his punching abilities, coming down like pouring rain on Mayweather with his flurries of punches whenever he got a chance. However, Mayweather took Canelo to school that night, taking away his zero. But the redhead was furious and took out his anger on the boxers that stood in his way.
His head movement has been brilliant in the last couple of fights.
And Canelo continues just to slip punches beautifully.
Next, Canelo Alvarez unleashed a storm of fury upon James Kirkland.
I've seen Kirkland try to play rope-a-dope. That tells you how hurt he must be.
Fearsome knockout artist with a 32-1 record. Though no belts were on the line, both fighters knew this was a crucial stepping stone towards their championship ambitions. From the opening bell, it was a one-sided affair. Canelo's precision strike sent Kirkland reeling, each punch a symphony of power and speed. In the third round, a devastating right hand sent Kirkland crashing to the canvas, unconscious. The crowd erupted in a roar as the referee counted Kirkland out, his face a mask of disbelief. The fight was a stunning display of dominance, cementing Canelo's status as a rising star and leaving the crowd in awe. Next up on his list was Amir Khan, a boxer from England who decided to move up 2 weight classes to fight Alvarez, and the fight became very highly anticipated, very quickly. But when the fight began, Canelo was able to show his star power, like here, when he was able to stun the British boxer with a mean and powerful left hook. But as you can see, Khan was able to trade punches just as well.
Normally, I can take people off guard, put them on the back foot, but with Canelo, he seemed very relaxed.
The fight was close, but then Canelo went in for the kill shot, getting a right overhand to land on Khan, who was knocked out cold. A couple years later, the man who stood in front of him was Liam Smith, who unfortunately stood in the way between Canelo and the WBO light middleweight belt. But he was put out of his misery like a sick horse pretty simply whenever Canelo was able to hit him with a body shot in the 9th round that took him out of the fight. But he was still unsatisfied and had his eyes on the super middleweight belts next, and Rocky Fielding, who held the WBO belt for the division, had to face him, but he had a similar fate to the others. The 5'7" Canelo Alvarez squared up against the 6'1" Rocky Fielding, as if he was the bigger fighter, and made him look silly, first getting him on the ground in the very first round. He was then able to pick his poison with the way he would win the fight, because it was clear that he was going to, and he chose the body shot once again. As the punch landed, Fielding knew it was over for him, as he dropped to his knees until he was rendered unable to continue the fight. Fielding very humbly accepted his loss, and he said that the better man won. This fight showed that every fighter, no matter the size, should fear him, because a knockout punch or a deadly body shot could be coming anytime, anywhere. About 3 years later, a young up-and-comer, Caleb Plant, was next in line.
This is the toughest fight for Canelo Alvarez in the super middleweight division by far.
Caleb probably has a lot more than more people think. I think Caleb has a great chance of, making his fight entertaining.
And with a record of 20 wins and 0 losses, there was some hype, but that did not mean anything to Canelo. He once again used his power and his speed to get the upper hand, stunning Plant, who had no idea how this smaller, older fighter was just absolutely piecing him up. Then finally, Canelo had had enough playing around and ended the fight in the second to last round with a left hand that got him up against the ropes that was followed by a flurry of strong right hands to put the undefeated on the ground for good and taking his 0 away.
This is what makes Canelo Alvarez so special, the fact that he wants to bite off more than he can chew, and people still won't give this man credit for it. This is a superstar, and we're witnessing greatness.
He has fought the tough guys when nobody wanted him to fight them.
And finally, most recently, and most importantly, Canelo had a huge fight during Mexican Independence Week in Las Vegas against Edgar Berlanga. He was able to sting him in just the 3rd round with a mean left hook. But then the fight turned nasty after Berlanga gave him a headbutt, and the mighty Mexican was nowhere near happy, landing a mean punch in return. Then he gave Canelo a questionable blow, and that was enough for Canelo to go absolute berserk on him, as he got him up against the ropes and reminded him who the best fighter in the ring was.